In the dusty expanse of 1870s Texas, where the sun scorched the earth and the wind carried whispers of hardship, a young widow named Eliza Harrow stood trembling on a makeshift platform in the town square of Redstone. Her dark hair was tucked beneath a faded bonnet, and her gray eyes, once bright with dreams, now darted nervously across the small crowd gathered before her. At 24, Eliza was a woman marked by loss, her husband, Thomas, taken by fever 2 years prior, and with him, her hopes of a family. The townsfolk whispered she was barren, a curse in a land where a woman's worth was often measured by the children she bore. Today, she faced a fate few could imagine, an auction, not for her hand, but for her labor, her future, her very existence. Redstone was a harsh place, a frontier town where survival demanded ruthless pragmatism. When Eliza's small plot of land failed to yield crops and her debts mounted, the town's elders, hard men with harder hearts, decided to auction her to the highest bidder. She wasn't to be a bride, she was to be a servant, a worker to pay off her debts. The murmurs in the crowd spoke of her infertility, a flaw that made her less than a woman in their eyes. As the auctioneer, a wiry man named Amos Creed, called out her name, Eliza's hands clenched the folds of her worn dress, her heart pounding like a war drum. Eliza Harrow, widow, strong for work, skilled with a needle and in the kitchen, Amos barked, his voice cutting through the dry air. No kin to claim her, no debts beyond what labor can settle. Who'll start the bidding? The crowd shifted, eyes appraising her like livestock. A few men, ranchers and merchants with cold calculations in their gazes, muttered to one another. Eliza's cheeks burned with shame, but she held her chin high, refusing to let them see her break. She had survived Thomas's death, the loneliness, the whispers. She would survive this. $10. Called a voice, a gruff rancher named Silas Boone. He needed a cook for his men, he said, and a barren woman wouldn't complicate things with children. Another bid came, then another, $15, $20. Each number felt like a nail in her coffin, binding her to a life of servitude, but then, a shadow moved at the edge of the crowd. A man stepped forward, tall and broad-shouldered, his presence commanding silence. His skin was bronzed by the sun, his long black hair tied back with a leather thong. He wore a mix of Comanche attire, beaded moccasins and a woven vest, blended with the practical clothes of a frontiersman, a cotton shirt and denim trousers. His dark eyes scanned the crowd, then settled on Eliza with an intensity that made her breath catch. This was Turok, a Comanche widow, he said. You're a gift. But the past was not so easily left behind. Word of Turok's purchase spread, and with it, resentment. Silas Boone, the rancher who'd bid against Turok, saw the Comanche's prosperity, his healthy children, his thriving land, as an affront. Silas spread rumors, calling Turok a thief who'd stolen a white woman, stirring unrest among the townsfolk. One night, a group of men rode to Turok's home, their torches casting shadows like demons. Give her back. Silas shouted, his voice slurred with whiskey. She's not yours. Turok stood before his door, rifle in hand, his children and Eliza behind him. She's not property, he said, his voice calm but unyielding. She's family. Eliza stepped forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. I choose to be here, she said, meeting Silas's gaze. This is my home. The men hesitated, their bravado faltering under Turok's resolve and Eliza's defiance. Cale and the older children stood ready, their loyalty fierce. Finally, Silas spat and turned away, the men retreating into the night. The incident shook Eliza, but it also solidified her place. She was no longer the widow auctioned for her flaws, she was Eliza, part of a family that fought for her. In time, she and Turok grew closer, their bond deepening into love. They married in a quiet ceremony under the cottonwoods. The children cheering, Lila tossing wildflowers. Years passed, and Eliza never bore children, but she mothered 6 with a fierceness that rivaled any birthright. She taught them to read the stars and the land, to honor both Comanche and settler ways. Turok, her partner in every sense,